And we are live. What is up, everybody? Good evening. I am Veronica and I am joined by Tori, or rather, I'm joining Tori because Tori has been holding it down this month. Thank you so much for showing up every week and having the guests on. And yeah, I'm
Absolutely.
joining you.
And
Um,
you're back though.
I'm back. I'm back. So we're a little late. We're sorry. And that's because we had some technical difficulties. I don't know if you guys can notice, but Tori's outside in her yard because we couldn't get a good internet signal. So we wanted to make sure that you guys could see us and hear us and not freeze. Because tonight we're discussing a topic that for everybody in sobriety, it hits home. Basically, we can all relate. It's hard, man. So we're talking about why staying sober can be so hard at times. And we've all been there. And, we published a poll earlier asking people, why it was so hard. And we had over 400 comments, all of you responding with your experience, strength, and hope, and letting us know what it was like for you. And there's a lot of good stuff in the comments. So I suggest if you have some time later on, make sure you look for that post and go through it because there's a lot of good stuff on there. And we're going to go over some of the highlights. But Tori, what do you think about tonight's topic?
I mean, I love just going back to the basics, staying sober is hard work and we should like give ourselves a lot of credit because we were doing, I don't know, so much like shitty stuff when we were not sober and that was just our way of life. So like living a new way of life is really hard. So I'm really glad we're discussing this and I'm so glad we're going to like be reading some of the comments and some of the points that everyone brought up because a lot of them were really good and
Yeah,
yeah.
for
So
sure.
yeah.
No, and I love what you said about like the shitty things that we did. And, we didn't have to be out there robbing people, but at the very least, we did lie to our loved ones and kind of like minimized what we were doing. So everybody can relate to this. It doesn't matter where you are in the journey. I know there's a lot of people tuning in right now saying, that they've one day at a time kind of thing. So let me just take a moment to say hi to everybody. Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Nina. Hi, Dawn. Hi, Chuck. Hi, Sean. He's 3 days sober. Sean, you can do this. Hang in there,
Congratulations.
man. That's awesome. So happy you're
Yeah.
joining us. And Anna, in 2 minutes, will be 10 years clean. Okay. I mean, that's so freaking amazing, you guys. So
That's
in
a
one comment
decade.
we have, yeah, in one comment we have like 3 days sober, and another comment we have 10 years. I mean, so we have it all. So you guys,
That's
this is
awesome.
your community. Be sure to reach out and to connect with one another because that's what this is all about. So let's get started.
Okay.
Tori, why was it hard for you? Like, I'm just gonna like ask you first, like, what was your experience and like, how did you overcome it being so hard? Because I know for me, there was a moment that there was like no way I could put 30 days together. Like, I couldn't even like that.
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine that for myself. How did you get through it?
I mean, I think for me, like, it was so hard because for so long, like, I was acting out in these behaviors and they had just become so ingrained in me. And, like, obviously, like, I was addicted to, what I was doing. So, um, for me, like, knowing that someone else got through it and someone else was able to stay sober for 3 days or 10 years. I mean, for when I got sober, I couldn't even imagine 10 years, but for 3 days, like that was a miracle to me. So, um, I mean, that really helped me. And that's how I kind of got through it. And like a lot of people are saying, like one day at a time. And
Yeah.
eventually those like I had to think my way into better action,
Mm,
and that really did help me and act my way into better thinking because I didn't know what I was doing.
right. Right. And that's why, like, people, for me, I didn't have a chance to go to treatment. I, ended up finding recovery, in meetings. And I just was going along with what people were telling me to do. I didn't really know, what to do, how to do it. I couldn't afford treatment at the time. I didn't know that you could get treatment. I mean, it was a brand new world for me. I just
Yeah.
never imagined that that was even a possibility. And, so I could totally relate to what you're saying. Let's see what people in the comments are saying. Nina has 12 days sober. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Ryan has 10 months. And he says, all we got is today. And that is so true. I mean, it doesn't matter how many days we put together. It really is a one day at a time thing. And I think if we
Right.
think about it, and that's what really overwhelmed me, like when people said you couldn't use anymore, you couldn't put any mind or mood altering substance in your system for the rest of your life. Like that was so overwhelming to me. And I wasn't sure that I could do it, you know, like how can I commit to something like that for the rest of my life? And when you put it in those terms, when you think of like, I need to have a month clean or sober, like that is so overwhelming. So I think I'm so glad people came up with, you know, 1 day at a time way before I came in, because that really helped me. And I remember for me, like even a day was too long sometimes. So for me, it had to be a moment at a time, a second at a time, a minute, an hour, whatever it needs to be for you. That's what you have to do. But the good news is that it does get easier, and you do even forget about like, I mean, you know, with the time that goes by, people forget that you're even in recovery, and not in a bad way, but like just it becomes such a normal way of life that you just don't even think about having a drink for you. Yeah. And like you just have to hang in there until you get to that point, whatever that is for you. And it doesn't have to be an overnight thing. It doesn't, you know, there's no cookie cutter formula for this. You just have to stick through it to whatever, you know, that is for you, and with the tools that are available to you and whatever you can, you know, make happen for yourself, like whether that's through counseling, through treatment, through your supports. But there's just a lot of ways to do it. And that's why I love asking those questions. And that's why we ask the polls, because we want to know how you did it. So back to the comments, people are, you know, counting off, and I'm loving it. Like Noelle has 13 years sober. Elizabeth has 32 years.
Oh my gosh.
And Jeremy says, I have found that it wasn't a matter of what I had done, but more of a matter of the things I hadn't done. That's deep if you think about it.
Okay, I see you.
Right? Like, okay, so like it was like not so much what he had done, but the things he had like not done. Like not what he, I'm probably messing it up now, but I mean, it makes so much sense. It's like, okay, you had not like drank, you know, after whatever you were like, just do the opposite of whatever you were doing, in other words, right? Like almost for some people. Let's see, who else? Agustine is in Texas saying she's watching. Thank you so much for joining us. Bud is saying hi. Tyler has 3 weeks. Justin has been sober since 4/10/10. So that is what, like, you had 9 years.
Just had 9 years. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Renee has 37 days. And Anna says months, not years. Sorry, Anna, but still, that's a long time. And I remember for me, 9 months was really hard. After like 9 months, it got easier. So congratulations on 10 months. Dawn just celebrated 11 years on the 15th. Congratulations. And Scott says 30 days booze free, and he's feeling great, right? Like that's another thing that I thought was like so that I did not expect how great I was going to feel. Like I was so depressed. And then like once like sobriety started kicking in, like I just could not believe how not depressed I was, and like how good I felt, you know, and I didn't expect that. I thought it was the other way around, that whatever I was putting in my system was going to make me feel better. But then it like worked backwards. And I know like anybody who's normal, who's listening to this, maybe like, duh, but I mean, I don't know how to, it's like, we get it, right? Like,
right. Oh, I know for me, like I love waking up like on a weekend, or like I was on a cruise in the last summer, you know, and like I woke up and like could go do stuff, right? Like I wasn't in bed all day and having to, you know, starting to feel sick because I had to get what I needed, you know, like I just love being free like that.
Right. That's another thing. So we're always like, we're not free. It's like such a, like, it's like chains, right? Like we're bound to this thing, and we have to, you know, be on top of like feeding that monster that we all carried, you know, and like making sure that that monster's fed, because we couldn't function. And so living that way every day, and then all of a sudden undoing that, that's going to take some time to like relearn, right? So guys in the comments, and ladies and folks and everyone, how did you guys do it? Like how did you get around that curve of where you thought you couldn't do it, and then you and then suddenly you were doing it? And so let us know in the comments, you know, how you did it and how you got to that point. I know from some of the comments earlier in the other thread, Diane mentioned something about staying out of the lion's den. Like someone told her to stay out of the lion's den, and that for her meant avoiding people, places, and things that led her to drink or use. And you know, that's something that gets tossed around a lot in early recovery, just obviously changing all those
Changing,
things
right.
and changing your friends. What do you think about that, Tori?
Yeah, I know for me, like I had the fortunate opportunity to like actually move states because I went to treatment and I just stayed in the same state I went to treatment. And I know not everybody gets that opportunity, but I know for me it really helped a lot. I was able to make new friends and new sober supports. And so, you know, I would say just the people, places, and things that really can get you down, or the places you were going, the people you were hanging out with, like that all needs to change. You know,
Yeah.
because like obviously when you do make a lifestyle change, no matter what, if you're on a diet or staying away from, I don't know, fast food or whatever, like you need to change everything, right? It's the
Yeah.
same way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. You need to change everything. Oliver, what's up? He said, Sober Nation said, my motherfucking house. Okay, I don't know if it's a curse or not, but I just felt like saying that and I totally like had to read it in that voice. What's up, Oliver? Elizabeth says, seriously, one day at a time is what worked for her.
Yeah.
Augustine, thank you so much for listening. And we're happy that the advice helps. Natalie says, 108 days with no alcohol. That's awesome.
Ooh.
And then Philip says 16 years. Maggie's 8 years free. Michael, 35 years, 31 months for Tara. My gosh, I could just be here like reading this all night long, you guys.
I
Thank you
love
so
it.
much for commenting. Lyle said nothing hard. You just make it hard. Many just don't have the support, so anyone needs it. So if anyone needs it, he's saying if you guys need support, add Lyle. He has
I
been
love
sober for
that.
25 years and 9 months, so he knows what he's talking about. But I think you're right, Lyle. Like to some degree, we do make it harder on ourselves, and we don't know any better, right? Is that whole playing the tape through, and that's another comment that someone else left. That we tend to, I think it was Matthew that left a comment earlier saying that we tend to romanticize, you know, the drinking and the using. And in our head, like we make it better than it actually was, right? Like when we can't do it anymore, we look back on it, we're like, oh man, I wish I could, whatever. And we make it like seem like it was so fun or glamorous or like things were so much better. But it's easy to forget sometimes, like how
Bad it
bad it was, right?
Yeah.
And like we have like this selective memory, and there's this saying of playing the tape through. And what that means is like really remembering like all the things that you went through and like how bad it was and not romanticizing it because it wasn't, you know, all that. Maybe for a minute it was, but I know for all of us, like if you're here watching this, we all crossed a certain line where it stopped being fun, right? So I totally agree with you, Lyle. I think a lot of it has to do with, you know, it. I think sometimes we can't help it. It is difficult because it is a brain disease. It is our brain kind of telling us like we need this to survive. But I think we have to help ourselves and put ourselves in situations that are like going to be conducive to us changing, like hanging around with people who are clean and sober, calling somebody who can help us, going to see a therapist, and like trying to get out of that mindset. Because if we stay in our head, then we're just going to like start listening to that voice that tells us that it wasn't so bad when we know that's not true. The
And
truth.
I was gonna say, like playing the tape through, also like for me, it was like, okay, well, if I'm gonna go to this gas station, like I know in the past I have bought an alcohol at this gas station, right? So like
Mhm.
then if I buy alcohol at this gas station, like I'm gonna do not so good things. So like picking another gas station to get gas at, you know,
Right.
like playing the tape through, right?
Right. It's just
So
those little things and making those small changes that will make it, you know,
right.
will make the difference at the end of the day. And it doesn't matter what you have to say to yourself in order to make those changes, you know, and just you just have to do it if you wanna stay sober. So I mean there's a bunch of people just sharing their time. Like Jolene has 22 years, staying forever vigilant. With 22 years,
Ooh.
she's still staying vigilant, which goes to say like it doesn't it's not like you reach a certain anniversary you're like, okay, cool, you don't have to worry about that anymore, you don't have to work
Right.
on this anymore, you don't have to take care of yourself anymore. And that's what it becomes like, you know, after a while it's like really self-care and maintenance. At the very beginning it's really hard, you know, you don't think you can do it, and we've all been there. And if you're there, if you're just starting out, trust us, you can do this. You can get a year, you can get 6 months. I know it seems like the most overwhelming thing in the world if you just have a couple of days or a couple of hours, but just like hang in there, do whatever you can, get out of your head, get out of your house, change people, places, and things. Just
Right.
hang in there. Just make it until like it's not hard anymore. And it does. It happens. It clicks. And nobody again has the magic formula like what day that's going to happen, but you just have to hang in there until it does. And it does. But support yourself. Make it easier for yourself. Don't isolate yourself and stay in your head, because that's going to make time go by so much longer, right?
Right. No, I agree with you. And I know for me, um, what that the comment about staying vigilant, like I know for me, I got very complacent. I had 3.5 years sober and I relapsed. And for me, it was like I got all this stuff back like so quick, and quick meaning like 2 years. And then I was like, okay, well, great.
You
Like, what do
had
I
it.
need to do
Yeah.
now? Right. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
done.
That's
Yeah.
a trap, and that happens to a lot of people, and that's why staying vigilant is such a thing, because we've
Yeah.
all, some people better than others, or worse than others have fallen, into that trap. And I relapsed at 9 months, same reason. I
Right.
thought I had it. I thought I knew, what I had to do, and whatever. Like I thought I had it all in lock, and boy was I wrong. And what took me like years to lose, it took like weeks for my life to start falling apart again. Like maybe within 2 weeks, my life was falling apart. So, they say like it gets worse and worse, the
It
more.
does. And faster.
Yeah.
It gets worse
And it's
faster.
faster. Yeah. Like you start experiencing consequences a lot faster. So I was like, oh my God, they were not lying. And it's like, you don't want to go through that research. And it's another saying, like people will say, like, maybe you guys have heard this, but like people will say, like, I went out there and did the research for you, so you don't have to. Like, it does not get better when you
Right.
go out or when you drink. And in our heads, we make it so much better, but it's not. So people are still checking in. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Thank you for joining us. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about why it's so hard to stay sober. So Anna says, when I stopped drinking, I found other addiction. Addiction is a way of life, and you have to work on that. Anna, I'm so glad you said that, because that is real. That is something we have to watch out for, because some of us like will put down the drink and then start, compensating with food or shopping.
Or
Right?
exercise or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some people who like, will get really into exercise where they cross that line where it's just not healthy anymore. And,
Right.
they're replacing one for another. So it's not so much substances, but just like, what is your behavior like? And are you breaking that cycle, of like, what are you not wanting to face, or what are you, and that's why like it's so important that you work with someone else and you don't just keep that stuff inside of yourself, because you deserve like that help. You deserve that support. So talk to someone, whether it's a sober support, whether it's a sponsor, it's a therapist, whoever, a priest, or, a pastor, someone in your
really
community that you trust.
Right. And I think it's really important too to like everything if you're gonna overwork out or whatnot, check your motives, because if you're working out too much because you feel like crap inside and you're trying to, fill some type of void, well, maybe you should take a look at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think motives is a really good thing, because sometimes motives is a good one. You know why? Because in early recovery too, then we want to call up someone and that we know could be holding something, or
Right.
a drinking buddy or something. And we just want to call and check on them. Check your motives. Like, are you calling that person because you're trying to like, all of a sudden get talked into like going out drinking, or are you like checking in with that? Do you really need to check in with that person? So checking your motives, goes for everything from something so small as to like calling someone up to, just anything else. Just be sure that, your motives are in check. And it's hard and it's not easier, and it's easier said than done. And that's why you need support. Like, and left to our own devices, like it's just going to be so much more difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it can turn into a disaster. I know that firsthand. So
yeah, I think a lot of us do. Yeah. Let's see. Annie says time is not a tool. All we have is today, for sure. Yeah, that's real. I mean, at any moment, no matter how much time we have, we can make a decision to not be in recovery or to not be sober anymore. So I think, and again, it gets easier. It gets to a point where you no longer are thinking about that 24/7 or a substance. You're thinking about other things. You've rebuilt your life. You have other things to be excited about. Yeah. And it's like when you get sober, then you have an opportunity to focus that energy into something else. Like, okay, you're no longer spending your days doing this, but what can you be doing instead? Like maybe you're into art, maybe you wanted to go back to school, like whatever it may be. Like if you put that energy into something else. I know a lot of people have, and they rebuilt their lives, and today they're like super successful people, and all that energy that we put into this one thing, we could really channel it into something else.
And that was a lot of energy, let me tell you.
Oh yeah, man. That was like
So,
our full-time job. And like when you think about like all the skills going into, and depending of course of your level of addiction, but when you think about like the skill that it took to maintain that addiction, like people in recovery are super smart and
absolutely.
like know, and I don't want to say like know how to con people, but like we did, to some degree, like manipulate things and talk people into helping us and things of that nature. Like imagine if you were to channel that into something good or something that would benefit you and your family. Like
the possibilities would be endless.
Yeah. And you have a chance. You have that shot. Like that's yours to take. Like no one else can take that shot for you but you. But like if you don't give yourself that chance, like you're never gonna know. So like why not? Like what do you have to lose? Like you have nothing to lose for real. Like and there's so many people around you that are willing to cheer you on. So it's starting with this community. Look at everybody in the comments saying you're sober.
Blown away.
We can. I love that, Dawn. Thank you for saying that. Michael says it's a better life. It really is. And Ryan says that overwhelmed him too. Like just thinking about all that time. Don't think about that time. Don't think about if you're new. Don't think about like, oh my God, I got to put together years. I can't drink for the rest of my life. Don't think about that. Just like don't drink tonight. Like cut it into chunks, and that's how it gets easier.
A good thing that Tim does, which if you don't know, Tim is the founder of Sober Nation, and he's always said for a very long time, make it till midnight. Like, if you are having a hard time, just make it till midnight. You might be asleep by then. Don't worry about it until tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think that is such a good, like he even has it. I'm just going to blow his cover. He has a tattoo of that on him. Okay.
That's hilarious. I did not know. Totally. Let's blow up his spot. Tim is awesome. And if you guys don't know Tim, definitely go through the video section of our Facebook page. And he's, all over that. And he used to do a bunch of videos. So he's awesome. And he's got a lot of insight to share. So check out his videos. But yeah, that's a good one. Make it till midnight and just kind of like, not trick yourself, but I mean, just kind of like set certain goals that you could hit. Don't make it impossible. Like if you say today, like, I'm going to stay sober for the rest of my life, like you don't know that, so like try to set goals that you can attain. Like, okay, I'm going to stay sober through this hour. And then if you stay sober that hour, then you probably will have more confidence to stay sober the next hour. Like help yourself get there,
wait another hour, why not?
Yeah, you sort of have to trick yourself. Roy says, yes, 24 hours is a simple path. Jenny has 13 years. And Geraldine says, I had some time sober. Today is 35 days. It's one day at a time. That is right. Hi, Geraldine. Jeremy says, I think I'm addicted to being addicted. Not for nothing, but a lot of people do take, that becomes their identity. Like if they've been, the person who's been suffering from addiction in a family for a long time, people, treat you a certain way, and then you sort of take on that identity, but like you're so much more than that. And it's something that you can overcome. And the reason like why I can say that is because you're surrounded in the comment section by a bunch of people who overcame that and who
absolutely, it's living proof right there.
Yeah. And that was our identity. And we didn't think we were going to get out of it, but we did, through a lot of work and through blood, sweat, and tears. Like we've all been through a lot of stuff, but you can do it. Jane says, the thing is, I love drugs, but I hate the person that it makes me more. I think we can all admit that we love like substances, and that is like our passion. But
like, why did we use in the first place? Made us feel, right?
Yeah, because we wanted to feel different, and whatever the reason may be. But you're not alone, James. Like we all like love substances, but we figured out and we learned and we lived so much crap because of that, and like we learned that wasn't good for us. And I love how you worded it, like I hated the person that it made me more. like you hated like what you became more, so that led you to change. And at some point that's how it almost needs to become, that you like can't stand it anymore so much that you almost within you have no other choice but to like put the
To do
substance
it.
down.
Right.
Yeah, like
When the
and
pain, I've always heard like when the pain's great enough, you're finally going to make a change. So,
yeah, yeah. And it does to some degree, like you need to want it. And what makes you want it is the fact that you're either tired of it or you're in too much pain or whatever.
right.
But I also don't believe that we have to let people hit bottom. I think that we can
I
intervene.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
can intervene, and hopefully people are like willing to listen and willing to try something new,
Right.
you know?
But
But
everybody's bottom is defined differently, I think. So, your bottom could be completely different than mine,
yeah.
you
Yeah,
know.
my bottom wasn't that bad as you
Right.
know what I've
Okay.
heard my friends go through and what I've heard other people go through. It wasn't, but it was bad enough for me. Like I knew I was in bad shape if if X happened to me, like if whatever happened to me, like I
Right.
knew it was like bad. Joe is gonna have 6 years on Easter Sunday. Can't believe my life today.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Let's see, what else are people saying? There's just so many comments, so hard to go through that. Nicole, 32 days today. Congratulations. That's
That's awesome.
amazing. And again, the first 30 days, the first 6 months, the first like is so hard. So I have so much respect and love and admiration for everybody coming on here tonight and saying that they have 6 days, 30 days, whatever, because I get it. Like I
I
know
think the first
how
30
that was.
days for me was the hardest.
Yeah.
So if you're in those 30 days, like keep on, one day at a time, keep on doing what you're doing because it does get better.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And then Rick says he's going to have 9 years in August. Congratulations. Jose, February 1st, 2013. Martin on June 15th. And Maria has almost 4 years. Holla. Mark says to go as many meetings as you can in early recovery. Do not take it one day at a time. Follow a 12-step recovery program to the T. Listen to what people are saying. If what you think is kind of what he's saying, I just remixed everything he said, but that's pretty much what he's saying. He has more than 8 years. Congratulations, Mark. But yeah, like that works for a lot of people, and it's sort of like the gold standard of recovery and sobriety to like take advantage of like these 12-step meetings. And even if 12 steps are not working for you, or you feel like you tried it and it didn't work, there's so many other alternatives. There's Smart Recovery, there's Refuge Recovery, there's what else? There's a
Celebrate Recovery.
Celebrate Recovery, which is faith-based. There's a lot. You can do counseling with a therapist. You can go to, there's a bunch of treatment centers with like different.
Yeah, we have stuff on the website too.
Yes. So check out the website for like more resources about that. But just don't feel like, if you tried something and you didn't really feel that it works, don't feel discouraged because, something else may work. And then, like talk to other people who are sober, like people in this comment section. They probably tried, more than just like AA or NA. Some people have been to Smart Recovery. Some people don't go to meetings at all.
There's online meetings too if you like can't leave. I mean, I don't, if you're immobile or whatnot.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that can't travel to go to a meeting. Even, there's people who don't have access to a ride because maybe a DUI or whatever. So there's also meetings online. There's intherooms.com. There's a bunch of, again, different outlets and support out there. There's a bunch of Facebook groups. If you like enter in the search bar, like sobriety or recovery, like
I think I'm in like 5 or 6.
I know I'm in so many of them. So there's tons of people out there in recovery. And I know when I entered recovery, I had no idea that there was, this whole world out there, especially online. Like in person, I would go to meetings, but online, I just didn't know that there were so many communities and people that had been through what I've been through. So you are not alone and you have no excuse. Sorry. Saying. Elizabeth says there are times that I can taste my favorite drink, like what you've been taught. Use what you've been taught, even after 32 years. Ooh, yeah, it's I forgot what it's called, but there's a scientific term for it where like your brain can recall like the euphoria, or sometimes when you get triggered, or like there's a trigger or something, or like a smell or a sound.
I know for me, if I smell alcohol, I'm a certain type of alcohol, I'm like, oh my god, I remember exactly where I was, exactly what I was doing, and I'm like, I never again.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
dry heaving. Ugh.
And that's good, like to some
Yeah.
degree, because you like remember the negative of it, but some people don't. Some people remember the good from it and they romanticize it. And so again, it's important that you don't stay like, glamorizing that
Right.
taste, and just sort of remember like what that did to you and like why that wasn't good and why you made a decision to stop because it was like for your health. Let's say Jackie says 39 years sober, but some days are hard. Thank God for new people to work with and listen to. Helps me a lot. Even beyond your wildest dreams will come true if you let the miracle happen. It's true. And that's why people talk about a miracle, because one day you're like really struggling and then one day you're just not, and then you sort of, and it's not magic, but if you have sort of done what you're supposed to be doing, it gets easier and you don't feel as triggered. It gets easier to go through the day without thinking about that. And that's what the miracle is all about, to going from a place where you're still obsessing about it and you're kind of like in your head about it, to not, to kind of just
And
being.
and people always say like I live the life of my wildest dreams today. And when I first got sober, I was like,
Oh,
no, like come on,
yeah.
come on, like get
Yeah,
out of
I
here,
did not get that.
Yeah.
I did not
And
get
now
that.
I'm like, okay, like I would never imagine doing what I do today a couple of years ago, I mean,
Yeah,
what a crazy life.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's so funny, and I'm so glad you brought that up because yeah, like we read that today and we're like nothing, but to somebody else who's new reading that, like a life beyond your wildest dream, like what are you even
Get out
talking
of
about?
here. Yeah.
Yeah, like what? Like you can't even imagine that because it's so rough, and you're like, just starting out. But it does. That's the wild part, that like like you do get to that point where you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm like healthy and I'm doing all these things, and now I'm into sports or whatever is that like milestone for you. But it does get like that, and that's why they call it a miracle. That's why, like, because it just does. I
Over
don't.
time,
Yeah,
like
over
one day at
time.
a time, it all comes full circle.
Yeah, exactly. And then Ryan said, nice, a cruise. They have a sober cruise. Yeah, and they have meetings.
Yeah.
Some cruises even have meetings on the ship.
When
And
I was on my cruise, I went to one. It was great.
yeah, I did
They have
too.
it in the schedule every day on your cruise.
Yeah, so just so
Go.
you guys know, you can go on a cruise sober. There are people on that ship, believe it or not, that have been to meetings and will have a meeting right on the ship every day. So even on a ship, like you cannot escape sobriety and recovery. I'm sorry to tell you. Anywhere in
It's
the world that
everywhere.
you go, there will be a meeting. Thankfully, like we've joined at a time where there are those support systems in place. There was a time when that wasn't the case, but
Right.
now it is. So, you have people there for you. Let's see who else. Juan has 8 years. Good days and bad days. Keep moving forward. That's important because not every day is going to be good. And even once you have time, no matter what you've done, what you haven't done, it's life, like not
Right.
all days are good. And life sometimes is going to suck, but that doesn't mean that we have to throw everything we worked so hard for away. And that's what we have to remember. And even if we can taste it, romanticize it, just remember, like, it's not as good as you think it was. And
Right.
I remember, like, even, and I've heard other people say, like, once they went back out, like, it wasn't as good as they imagined it, or like things
It's
didn't
not.
taste the
Yeah.
same, or, like they just had a horrible time where it didn't feel good. And so, like, we make it seem better than what it actually is. Um, Lori says, hi from Manitoba. Where is that,
Oh,
Lori?
where's that?
Yeah. Abby says, P.S. I still consider myself a newcomer. A lot of people do because, again, it's, the day at a time thing, right? Like, we only have 24 hours, like any given time. Like, we're still learning. We're still, we're still new every morning because we're facing the same challenges that, newcomers are facing, which is not picking up. But again, after time and some work, it gets easier. But yeah, I think that a lot of people still consider themselves newcomers because it keeps them vigilant and on their toes. So Pete's just said sober nation. What's up, Pete? James says stay sober more than you want to drink. Yeah, like you kind of have to want to stay sober more than you want to drink. I mean, you have to make that decision at the end of the day. Like nobody else can make it
And
for
you
you.
can't want it. I tried wanting it for my family, for everybody else, but at the end of the day, you just have to want it for yourself.
Exactly. Dorothy says, hello from Santo Domingo, Pueblo, New Mexico. I almost got excited because I thought she was saying like Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. Oh my God. But
My
no, it's
best
New
friend
Mexico.
lives in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
There you go.
She's sober too.
There you go. We have people everywhere. Tara says she had to put herself on house arrest for the first 100 days, no exception. So you didn't go out, Tara, like you just locked yourself up. Tell us how that went. Share that in the comments. Um, Ryan says this time around is definitely hard to change. Yeah, like that happened with me to me with cigarettes. Like I remember one time I quit and it was super easy, and then I ended up like smoking again, and I tried to quit so many times and it was so hard. And then one day, like I was quitting again, yet I don't know what time I was quitting for. And I kept forgetting to put my patches on. And I'm like, whoa, this is easier than I thought. And I just stayed stopped. So I can relate to like times being easier to stay sober than others. So if you find that it's easy this time that you're trying to stick with it, run with it, because the next time it may not be as easy. And the reality is, it's like with the stuff that we're talking about, sometimes we don't get to make it back. And we all know a lot of people who didn't get to make it back, whether from a relapse or whatever. So just know, at the end of the day, this is a life and death matter. This isn't even like us exaggerating or being dramatic. It is life and death. And not just for us, but even the people around us, especially when it comes to drinking and driving. And I don't even want to go down that road, but this is life and death. So if you're finding that it's easy and that it's coming easy to you, stick with it and run with it, because that's great. Next time it may not be as easy, and you don't want to like miss that chance. Pete says, don't use at all, you got a chance. That's right, everybody, we all can have a chance. Jason says, for me, one of the hardest things about staying sober is easy access to it. Yes.
It's everywhere. I'm telling you.
Yeah, yeah. He said, it's just how easy it is to go back to it. The first few months of being sober were the hardest. I still think about getting drunk from time to time, usually due to particular emotional states I want relief from. Oh my God, I love that you even have that awareness, Jason, that like when you're feeling a certain way, that's like when you're going to want to like use or drink. Since
So
getting
true.
sober, though, I have been learning to ride them out until they naturally pass. This August will be 5 years sober, and I'm really proud of myself for staying sober this long. I am so proud of
Yay.
you, and I love your
Congratulations.
comment. Thank you, Jason. You hit the nail on the head. I think you're absolutely right. Like emotions sometimes drive us to like want to drink or use because we can't stand it and we can't stand how we feel, and we just want to like numb it out. We don't want to deal with it. I totally get it. It's so uncomfortable. And you're absolutely right. Like
It passes.
it pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. They pass. They don't, you're not gonna feel that way forever. And if you can hang in there and like focus on something else, do something else, call somebody up, go hang out with somebody, get away from it, and focus on something, it will pass, and you will be able to put days together, months together, and years together. And that's how this thing happens. Jason, thank you so much for that comment. That was awesome. And congrats on your 5 years. Walter says he was afraid he was gonna die. That's real.
I mean, it's a reality for a lot of people.
Yeah, there's a lot of us that went to bed not knowing if we were going to wake up. I mean, let's be real. It's not cute. It is not glamorous. There was nothing glamorous about not knowing if you're going to wake up or not because of all the stuff we consumed. And Walter, like, thank you for bringing it home, because, we're here like talking about it very casual, cracking jokes here and there. But again, this is life and death. And that comment was just so real for me, because I remember there were times that I'm like, oh my God, is my heart going to stop like in the middle of the night?
And like a lot of the times though, when I could have died easily, part of me was like, well, if I don't wake up, that's okay, because I was so depressed.
We were so like indifferent to living or dying, in like the depth of it, and that is like so like just
That's sad.
wow. Yeah, like that's
really sad.
Not okay. And like we deserve so much more than that. Not because we're entitled to anything, but just because like that's not.
Who wants to live? Like no one deserves to live a miserable life.
No, like no matter how crappy you've been to people, whatever you've been through, like you deserve support. You deserve to be clean and sober and not feel like that or go to bed feeling like that. Josh said he chose exercise and was tired of waking up, needing something to function. Yes, Yes, like that. It was like that bondage we were talking about, the freedom thing of like needing something to
Right.
survive, for sure. Nicole says that meetings, reading, journaling, therapy, friends really helped her stay away from people, places, and things. Lost a ton of people, but clearly people who just wanted to feed her addiction. Yeah, I mean, the people that you lose, if they don't want to talk to you because you're not drinking, you're not using,
Those aren't real friends, first of all.
yeah, I mean, not the worst thing that, will happen.
Right.
David says hard work is what kept him sober at the beginning, knowing that he didn't want to go through withdrawal again. That's another good
Sometimes
reality check.
that's it.
In fact,
Right.
like, a lot of us get sick when we stop and we don't want to feel that way again. So if you just went through 14 days of hell,
Yeah.
even though you think you're going to get some relief, don't put yourself through that again if you really don't want to go through it, because we know like what it leads to. Jesse says change friends and keep busy. Um, Even different meetings that Ryan goes to works out for him. Let's see. Janine says, I go to meetings every day. Listening to everybody talk about their experiences helps me so much. I also stay away from people, places, and things that will tempt me. I made a choice to change my life, and that means everything and everyone to me. And everyone to me. That's right. It's that
So
choice that
true.
you make. Yeah. And again, another one, Juan says people, places, and things.
Hmm.
So that's real, and that's a lot of people saying it. James says he got sober in 1998, July 4th. Congratulations. Steve has 16 years. And Tom says it helps to have friends that support you. It's true. You have to find people who support you no matter
Right.
what.
And
And
like-minded people that are doing the same things as you, because that's how you're going to create bonds sober, you know?
yeah. And even if you don't know anybody who's like in recovery yet, even if like let's say you're like the only one in your family or like the only one in your friends who like has a problem drinking or has a problem using with substance, whatever, you will find those people if you go to
Yeah.
meetings, if you go to a counselor, they can recommend places for you to go or people to hang out with. So it's just a matter of you like adapting and creating a new life for you, and that's what it's all about. Really, it's like
Yeah.
creating a new life for ourselves where that is no longer the main focus of our life, and it happens. And Renee here says, finally woke up tired of being hungover and sick, and it's as easy as that. One day you could just wake up and be like, I'm
Right.
over it. I don't
I'm
want to
done
do
with
it
this. I
anymore.
don't want to do it anymore.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So this is about all the time we have. We thought we were going to keep it super, super short, but I'm looking at the time now and it's almost 10 o'clock. But you guys, I am so
Oh my
grateful. We're
gosh.
so
This has been
grateful.
awesome.
Yeah, we're so grateful that you guys
Yeah.
joined. We're so proud of everybody who jumped on there and like, just I felt like I was doing like a sober countdown or something. But it was awesome to see so many people in recovery, so many people stepping out and talking about what worked for them, what didn't work for them. And, there was a time and place where like this didn't happen, you guys. Like, nobody went
Right.
on in the
No one
public and talked
shared
about how they were doing.
behind their computer what worked for them.
Yeah, but I'm so glad that like we have a space to talk about this and a place to have these conversations. So let us know what you guys want to talk about next week. We want to bring it back to the basics. Lately, we've been talking with a lot of people who specialize in different things and a lot of super cool topics. But we're going to start from the beginning all over again. So if you've been with us for a while and been watching the show for a while, we've covered just about every topic that you can think of in
Under
sobriety.
the sun. Absolutely.
Yeah, like we're like running out of ideas, but you guys, this is your community, this is your show, so you guys let us know what you want us to talk about. If you want us to bring any guests, if you have any specific questions, any topics, anything that you're struggling with, we're always looking for ideas. We're always looking for people to submit their stories also, right, Tori?
Yes. And you know what I was thinking as the comments were coming in? Like, I wonder if we added up all these people's time, how much it would be, how many years it would be, but we already have one of those
Yeah,
on sobernation.com. So
yeah.
submit your story on there, and I think right now we're at almost at 10,000 years for everybody on the website. So
Yes,
yeah.
please, like go to Sober Sense. I think it's sobernation.com/sober sense, is it?
Yeah, you just go to sobernation.com and then it'll say like sober since on the toolbar.
Yeah, go to
Real
that
easy.
section. Super easy. Upload your picture. You can do a before and after. You can do a picture of you now, whatever you want to do. You enter your clean date. It asks you a couple of questions just to kind of share your story of what it was like,
Yeah.
what
It's really
happened, and
cool.
what it's like now. Yeah, I love it. And we post those every day. We like, that's one of my favorite parts about Sober Nation, or like one of my favorite things is just how many people will put congratulations on those posts. Like they don't even know each other, and people
I
just step
know.
out and like support one another. And it's one of my favorite things to watch, just how many like strangers come together to support one another in sobriety. So you are not alone. That is like not even made up. You can look through the comments section and see how many people, just like even people on this comment section were saying like, hit me up, friend me if you need support. So they're there. There's
So
no
cool.
excuse. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if you have 1 hour or 50 years, we all need support. We are all worthy of recovery and sobriety. You are not alone. You're not an outcast. You're not different. You're worth it. Trust us. And you may not see it now, but you are just hanging there.
You'll see eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, thank you for everybody. Thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight, and we hope to see you guys next week. There is one comment really quick. And there's somebody struggling in the comment section. We have to jump off right now because we're gonna get caught off. But really quick, if you see somebody struggling in the comment section, just offer support, please, and just comment and share your experience, strength, and hope with them. And that's what this community is all about. So thank you again for sharing this.
Thank you guys so much
We
for being here.
appreciate you, and we'll see you guys next week.
Every Thursday night at 9 p.m.
That's right, rain or shine. Wi-Fi or no Wi-Fi, we'll figure out a way to show up, even if we have to broadcast from the yard.
Do it.
Night, guys. See you around. Bye.